Opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Episode 3 of A Lord and His Lady, presented by Luminar Neo. So glad to have Luminar Neo as our sponsor for the show. We'll have an ad for them in a little bit. For right now, it's the Lord and Lady. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing out there, folks? Welcome to episode 3. Very glad that you could join us. In this episode, we're going to kind of recap some of my history. Because we kind of did our relationship history on episode 1. We did some of Danica's history on episode 2. And so this week we'll get into the history of this guy. So for those of you that don't know or maybe unfamiliar, I was born and raised in a tiny little town called Emmitsburg, Iowa. It's like 3,000-4,000 people when I was growing up or whatever. A really interesting community to grow up in, especially when you're just poor white folks. Just so you know, everybody was white folks in that area, just not all of them were poor. Matter of fact, most of them were pretty, a lot of small business owners, stuff like that kind of thing. Growing up was really kind of difficult for me. My dad was an alcoholic. He was a very abusive alcoholic. And like that's stuff that you don't like you figure that out as a child in all the wrong ways. You know what I mean? Like because like I didn't for a long time, like I didn't understand so much why other kids treated me so different. Because I got like shit on a lot growing up, like real bad. Like there's definitely, when people talk about bullying, especially nowadays or whatever, like there's many different levels to what bullying is. And like I got bullied like super hard. And a lot of that.
I also want to say, I think it's fair to say back when we were growing up in the 80s.
Yeah. Like
bullying
you got away
was
with
not a thing. Like your parents be like, well, stand up for yourself.
Right. Yeah. Which was another weird thing for me because like, and I will say it's totally fair to say that I didn't do myself any favors in the fact of like, I did not fight back until I was 12. Because like I was raised very religiously by my mother on my mother's end, and I mean, the whole family went to church, but like mom was like the rock of the faith in our family,
Right.
And so like so I grew up really kind of believing turn the other cheek, and I didn't participate in that violence. And like one of the things that I learned growing up as a kid with my dad being abusive was that if you just balled up and took it, it would be over much, much faster. Like if you tried to get away or tried to fight back, it just got worse. So I learned very quickly to just ball up and take it. So I was like the playground punching bag when I was growing up. One time in particular that always stood out to me was in 3rd grade. We had a foreign exchange teacher. Did you ever have one of those?
No, we just had an exchange student.
Right. Yeah. No, he was the only one. Like during my whole school experience in 3rd grade, Mr. Flanders was a foreign exchange teacher that switched with our English teacher or whatever. and I don't remember what her name was, but he was from Australia. And now Evansburg was a very football town. Like we were district champions 23 years in a row and stuff like that. And so when we had this Australian come along, he decided to teach us about rugby. Yeah. And we were third graders.
No.
Okay. And I got leveled that day, like so bad. I remember and dude, it's like third grade. What is that? Like I was probably 9.
I mean, 8.
I could still taste the dirt. Okay. Like that's how, because he came at me with like this double forearm, like shove that just like, oh my God, it hurt so bad. That was the only day we were allowed to play rugby. And then everybody was mad at me because we didn't get to play anymore because I got like folded in half on the playground. So, but anyway, but like what I would come to learn was that like, because my dad didn't have respect in our community, like all these parents were talking shit to their kids about me and my family. And like I would like, I didn't even understand some of the like insults and stuff that people would say. Like I remember one time we went to a wrestling tournament because I was involved in wrestling, and we went to this wrestling tournament, my dad and I, and my dad went with we rode with another father and son. And like the next Monday at school, like this kid's all like he said, yeah, as soon as we got back from our trip with you guys, my dad went out and sprayed the car for fleas. And I was like, what in the fuck? Like that seems rude. Why would he do that? And I didn't know it was because like no one, but like, you know, my dad was a legend in like drinking circles and stuff like that. Like my dad was such a heavy drinker that when he quit drinking when I was 11, the bar that he went to the most closed like 2 months later. You know, like I'm not saying he was the only reason, but I'm saying it factored in there. You know what I mean? It definitely, but that's the kind of level it was at. And I mean, it was pretty bad at home. And like when I was 8 was the first time that I remember wanting to kill myself. Like I was 8 years old. It was the summer that I was 8. I remember that I was at the pool and there was a kid down the street that had swam up under the water behind me, and he pulled my trunks down and he lifted me out of the water in front of like everybody. It was a real hot day in the summer, and like the pool was packed, you know, and so super embarrassing. You know, you're in the cold water anyway. You're a child. There's not a lot to look at. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of pointing and laughing, lifeguards, everybody. And I remember just like pedaling furiously to get home, like crying, and I like, that was definitely the first day that I thought to myself, man, I don't want to be on this planet anymore. This fucking sucks. You know what I mean? And like that's a very hard thing to come to as a kid, you know. And part of why I am the way I am today it's because I've more on than off felt that way, you know, most of my life. You know what I mean? Now, a lot of that had to do with some of the decisions that I made, you know what I mean? Because as you can imagine, being raised in a home that was full of abuse and alcoholism and stuff like that, like I didn't develop the best decision-making skills. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so what's some of the things I want to kind of cover or whatever. So one thing that's kind of funny, And I don't remember how old I was when this happened. But you know that I was a big Hulk Hogan fan.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we had a real shit ass neighbor. And like the kind of neighbor that like I would make a snowman in the wintertime and they would drive through it with their snowmobile. Like one of those neighbors, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, but anyway, so I'm to be fair, I don't know for sure that it was him, but my dad was pretty sure that it was the neighbor that made this call. So we get a call one day or whatever, and I don't know why I was like, I think we all kind of answered the phone back then, but like, do you remember answering like the house phone?
Yeah.
And how did you answer the house phone, if I may ask?
Our last name.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So yeah, we would say Conway's, you know, and so me, I'm a child. I answered the phone, Conway, and that is this Billy Conway, and that should have been clue number one because they're probably not gonna talk to the kid about what happens, but I don't know. I was young and gullible, whatever. But this person said that I had won some sort of contest, and I was gonna get to go to WrestleMania. That Hulk Hogan was gonna pick me up in a limousine and take me for the weekend to go on this great WrestleMania fucking experience, and I was elated. I was out of my head excited. And I packed a little bag and I was out at the end of the driveway waiting. Like, I don't even know how long I waited, but shit like that happened to me a lot as a kid. I don't know. I think I was a gullible kid. I was good, but I think it's good. I trusted people. I was very full of trust.
But here's the thing: you're taught as a kid to trust adults.
Yes.
You're taught as a kid to trust adults.
Yes, but I was around crazy ass adults. You know what I mean? And even later, like so, the first time I drank, I was 11. Okay, hang on. Actually, back up. That's not true. The first time I drank was actually technically, and now I thought about it even more because I thought I was 5, but I actually
no, that's the first time you got caught making out with a girl.
No, I was 4. I was 4.
My bad.
I was 4 when that happened. But yeah, my mom tanned my hide for that. That was
good.
Yeah.
It didn't teach you anything.
No, it didn't. I kissed a lot of girls since then. That's for
sure.
But okay. So I thought that the first time I drank was when I was 5, but it was actually when I was 4. I was almost 5 because it was the 1986 Rose Bowl. Because
good Lord.
Yeah, well the Hawkeyes were in it, so Dad was excited, because and I don't know what's up with it. Like, we watched college football in our house, we watched the Hawkeyes and stuff, but we did not watch NFL really, which was weird when I was a kid. But I think that was because Sundays were for God. You know what I mean? Like, Sundays is when we went to church, and usually we'd have a big meal afterwards, and Grandma would be there, and she would play cards until dark, and then we took Grandma home, and that was the whole day. You know what I mean? It wasn't football; it was family. Right. But anyway, so during the 1986 Rose Bowl, I had like a glass that probably wasn't much bigger than this bottle. I had a glass, and my dad was like nudged me. He was like, and he told me, like, put my glass up by the edge of the chair. And he was just pouring some of his beer. He'd look over at Mom, make sure Mom wasn't paying attention. And I don't know how many of those glasses I had, but I drank that whole game. like I had to be snockered or whatever. But anyway, the first time I drank, because I wanted to or whatever, because it was, but I mean, even then, even this was handed, like given to me or whatever. I was 11 and I had a friend that was like, he was like 5 years older than me. But he was like, you know how families have surrogate families, like that's another family that's just like family. Right. They're not technically like your aunt and uncle, but that's how they're treated, whatever. So it was their son. and I was very good friends with him. He ended up being the guy that, like, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened within our relationship as people. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
But so I was 11 and I had spent the night at his place, and we wake up the next morning and it's just us in the house. It's just me and him. And he made us screwdrivers for breakfast with Sun and Delight, I might say, which is the way to have them. If you're going to have a screwdriver, Sun and Delight is the way to go, I'm going to say. But so he gives us these screwdrivers for breakfast in the morning. And I asked him, I was like, hey, can I have more of this? And he was like, well, we're out of orange juice, but here. And he hands me the bottle of vodka. And I finished it. But like the first thing that I remember from that was like, it was the first time that I could remember that I didn't feel anything. And up to that point, life felt pretty fucking sucky. You know what I mean? So the like numbness of alcohol was a very welcome thing for me. And I got hooked on that pretty much right away. And like by the time I was 13, I was literally sneaking out of the house 4 or 5 times a night, or 4 or 5 times a week at night, going out my window, and stuff like that. And which my parents didn't find out about until I went to treatment the first time at 16. And then like during family day, there was like a bunch of stuff that like came out or whatever. But so I got bullied really, really hard up until I was 12. And then when I was 12, something happened that just changed everything, you know? And like, I also want to take a quick second to say that, like, at this time in my life, you know, I had very few friends. I had, you know, maybe 2 or 3, you know, people that were real close to me, you know, maybe a couple others that were, you know, more fringy friends. And I guess like, you know, the other guy that I drank with, he was more like family. So I didn't really, you know, but he was a friend too, I guess. But I didn't see him much because they lived in another town,
right?
You know, so anyway, I didn't have a lot of friends, but the friends that I did have, like we all got picked on real bad, you know? And then, and I will say that like, it was bad in elementary school. Like I didn't like getting beat up on the playgrounds and stuff all that much. Like that sucked. But, it got super bad in middle school. Like middle school and the introduction to the locker room was fucking terrible for me. And it was especially terrible for me because I'm a grower, not a shower. You know this. And so like, you know, I was not showing like these other guys were showing. And that was just one more reason for them to pick on me and think less of me or whatever, you know. And, you know, I was just trying to understand why everybody else was about ready to play with their ding dong. You know what I mean? Like, that's what mine look like when I get ready. You know what I mean? Like, why are you guys ready already? That's weird. You know, like you guys are overexcited for this situation, which I think I was nervous. I was always nervous. So I'm sure I shrunk up even more in those times because I'll tell you, he can shrink. Matter of fact, it's gotten so cold recently. Like we went out to have a cigarette the other day. And I almost became an innie because I went to use the bathroom like right away and touched my penis. Yeah, and my fucking penis just like I had to like coax it back out so I could urinate. I was like, what's going on? Like this is terrible. All right. Oh God. All right. So but so the introduction to the locker rooms, it got super bad after that. And you know, they would beat me up, they would whip me with towels and stuff. And if I ended up getting beat up in the actual shower, that was super bad. Because if I fell on the floor in the shower room, they'd just start pissing on me. And which is a really tough thing to take as a child, you know. And I remember many times, you know, going home after school and just being a sobbing mess to my mother, you know what I mean? Because like, you know, and my dad would just get mad at me. My dad would just get upset, and I'm sure there were times that I got beat for being a wussy. You know what I mean? And I remember one time I got sent home from school, and this is before I engaged in fighting. I got sent home from school for fighting, but I didn't fight. They just sent us both home. What happened was I got beat up on the playground, and then they just sent us both home. And my dad beat me for not winning. You know what I mean? And it was just, you know, it was like I didn't even fight, you know, and then he beat me even worse. Like, how can you not fight? You know? Yeah, no, it was terrible.
I mean, I hate to say this because we've talked about how if our dads would ever met, they probably would have been friends.
I know.
But like my dad used to tell me, like, don't you start a fight, but if somebody else hits you, you better finish it.
Right. But I had a mother telling me, turn the other cheek. That's not the, you know, violence is not the answer. You know, and like, but I think that like my mom, in my opinion, my mom was very focused on. I think she really wanted my dad to be the end of the cycle of abuse.
I was gonna say,
you know what I mean? Like
your mom refused to let you grow up the way he was.
Right. I think that she instilled the hope and the love and the faith that she did in me because she knew how much I was going to need it. Because like, kid, if you're going to be any different than this fuckface that keeps beating the shit out of us,
right,
you're going to need these things that I'm planting in you, you know? And like, and my mother taught me a lot. One of the only things that I kept from the house after they both passed was the footstool that she used to when I was a teenager. My father had wounds on his feet before he lost his legs. He had these wounds on his foot that he had to get dressed all the time, and my mother would dress those wounds, and that was usually the time that my father chose to berate her and tell her everything that she was doing wrong. Like, he would literally choose the time where she was like kneeling, like half kneeling at his feet, dressing his wounds. Like, and it's like, I think about sometimes, like, why in the fuck did he choose that time and place to like give her daily tongue lashing? Because that's what it seemed like.
Because he knew she would stay there and finish.
Right, yeah, you know, and yeah, like he had a captive. Oh, now that I know I got her here for a good few minutes, I'm gonna really let her fucking have it now. And it, you know, so I grew up seeing just like a really high level of mental and emotional abuse. You know, because even when he wasn't like actually hitting us, man, he beat the shit out of us with how he treated us and his words. Like it was just a bad environment. It was a super bad environment, you know. But I kept that footstool because I wanted a reminder of you know, long suffering and patience, and you know, being able to, you know, because the thing about it is that not only would my mom sit there and take it, but like usually she usually had to like kind of do double duty, like because she would get his foot soak ready and all of that stuff, and then she'd go start supper. And then once supper was like good and started, she'd come and like take his foot out of there and dry it off and let it dry out a little bit. And then she'd wash up, of course. She wasn't nasty. My mother was a very clean cooking woman, but she would go and finish dinner, you know, or get the finishing touches on it, dress his wound quick, and then set the table. Pretty much like that was kind of the evolution of the night or whatever. And while my mother would go to the kitchen, she would sing hymns. She sang to Jesus, and like it was just, it becomes more amazing to me the more mature and the more I understood about life in the world.
Right.
It became even more amazing to me how she did that. But I think those hymns, that faith is definitely how, that's how she withstood all those fiery darts he threw at her.
That was soothing to her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She would go, oh man. But it was, it creates a lot of confusion in your mind, and then so when I was 12, these boys were doing what they usually do, and I was sniveling and crying. Why do you always do this to me? like you do when you get beat up all the time, you become a sniveling baby. That's what happens. Like it's a natural course of events. But and I'll never forget who said it to me. And it was actually the same kid that told me that when we got back from that wrestling trip, that his dad sprayed the car with flea
right.
repellent or whatever, right? And so he says to me, he says, if you ever stood up for yourself, maybe they'd quit picking on you, and because he wasn't really one of the ones,
Right.
And I thought about that for a couple of days, and then the next time we had gym, because you only had gym every other day, and so the next time we had PE, man, when that locker room situation came, same old, they start coming, like they literally start circling around me with the towels, they're getting them ready, and man, that first towel came in, and I snatched that bitch right out of the fucking air and hit that dude, and then I hit the next dude, I elbowed the next dude, and the next thing I know, 7 fucking dudes are on the fucking floor, and all the other kids were like glued to the fucking lockers, like Conway just lost his shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then this is okay. Now this is what's crazy. Okay, especially like if you because it's not like this anymore. Like this is just not the way things are anymore. Because like if you think for a second that I didn't ever say to the PE teacher, hey, like these guys are really hard on me. Can you help me out a little bit? Something like, like tell them to leave me alone. Any of that. I remember my middle school PE teacher saying to me, well, if you're not going to do anything about it, why should I? Like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like bullying wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah. They're like, hey, you're not even sticking up for yourself. I'm not going to get into it. Yeah. So, but I will say this in the same fucking fashion, because, it created quite a ruckus, and his office was just on the other side of a door, and so he comes out of his office, took a look around, and he goes, about time, Conway, and went back into his office. Didn't even check to see if any of those kids were okay, if anybody needed attention, or nah. About time, Conway, and just back in his office, right? And now this, like, especially because it was such a blasé response of, oh, it's no big deal that you did that at all. Man, I turned a corner. I turned a real corner, and just started. I became a very violent person. Like if somebody upset me or bothered me, all right, well, we're gonna get physical right now, and to the point of even my dad. When my dad, this was a few months later, but like, so right around this time is when I had my first anger blackout. I got so mad that I lost time. That was the first time I lost time. I charged after my father. Now I'm 12. I'm 12. Okay. And to give you a picture, my dad was like 6'2" and maybe 6'3", weighed like 400 pounds. Like my dad was like 395 to 405 most of my childhood. Like he was a massive man. I
mean, he was 400 some pounds without his legs.
No, he was 385 without his legs. 385. All right. Anyway, I love you so much. But so when I was 12, I had my first anger blackout, and I charged after my father. We were out doing yard work or something, and he had upset me in some kind of way. And I picked up, we were using this wastebasket for lawn clippings, and I picked that up over my head and like chucked it at him.
Right.
And then I started after him, and he literally ran inside the house from a 12-year-old. Right?
Yeah.
But it's fair to say, probably had a crazy look in my eye, because when he went inside the house and and locked the door, mind you, he goes inside the house, locks the door, and so now what I'm telling you, like this is what got told to me, and like because I kind of remember flashes of throwing the thing, and I remember like starting to chase him.
Right.
And then everything after that is kind of flashes, and I've been told what happened. You know what I mean? So, because like I said, I blacked out and I lost time, so I don't really know. But I just went up to the garage and just started beating the shit out of the garage, and I headbutted the garage a couple times because like the next thing I know, like I was literally like crumpled next to the garage. My mom was holding me kind of like this, you know, and my mom was crying. My mom, and she was like, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" And like, I didn't even know what I had done yet, you know. Right. But my forehead was broken open, and I was bleeding down my face. Like my knuckles were like scraped up real bad, and a couple tears or whatever, you know. Like I had fucked myself up, like beating on an inanimate object, you know. And so that's why they started taking me to counseling and stuff like that. And but like it didn't help. Like in my opinion, it didn't help. They put me on Ritalin and stuff like that. And this is also like the same time that I started having to take social skills classes. Do you know what those are?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that aren't aware of what social skill classes are, it's when you don't get along with your fellow students, you got to go to a special room once a day, one period a day, and they teach you how to get along with others.
Okay, which would all be fine, but the reason the counseling and the medication didn't work is because the person who really needed therapy was your father.
Yeah. Well, no, this is gone.
I don't know.
You said we were going to you said we were going to share that.
We did, kind of.
I had one sip.
I left it over here. We can put more soda in there.
Oh, you know what? Sorry. Give us 1 second. Quick. I've been talking a lot, so I'm a little thirsty.
It's a marriage thing. It happens.
What's so weird? What?
I said it's a marriage thing. It happens.
Okay.
Stop.
What, the sharing?
Yes.
Okay.
It just not. Hi, we're still on. Yeah. Hello, we're on. Yikes.
Right, anyway, so things kept spiraling in that direction.
Right.
Like I continued to get in trouble. And then when I was 16, I should preface the reason that I ran away from home. So when I turned 16, I had been working. Like I got a paper route when I was 11, and I got even another side job when I was 13. And I got certified as a nurse aide at 15. I took post-secondary courses through my high school and attended classes at the college to become a certified nurse's aide. And I literally had to wait until I turned 16 to get my first job because I wasn't old enough to do the job yet.
Right.
I was qualified, but I wasn't old enough. Like, so, no, hello. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Michael.
I'm glad you're here. So anyway, and so when I turned 16, I want to buy my first car because, like, when I started making money for, like, I think it was my second check that I got from the paper route. My parents were like, "Well, now that you're making money, yeah." I love you too, sister. That it was. It's it was traumatizing. I don't know if it doesn't have the same power today, because so I don't think, what, let's be fair, just so people watching on other platforms can see. This is my sister. Hello to my sister. I love you very much. And so she says that me going over this stuff is a little traumatizing. Well, she didn't say a little. She said it is traumatizing. To that, I want to say, these were traumas that we went through. How they gathered around the flagpole. Oh, right. Dude, are you talking about the time that you saved me from the bullies and then beat me up in front of them? Are you talking about
listen, she was a child also. That was a great tactic.
Yeah, no, it was. I love you, sister. My sister did save me from many bullies back in the day. She really did. And saved me from myself. Oh my God, I totally forgot about this story. There was one time at the Y that, dude, I wanted to tear this kid up so bad, but my parents had about had it with me being physical, because like I said, I got in trouble everywhere I went. I started getting in trouble all the time because I would just fight at the drop of a hat. Oh, okay, you want to act stupid? Let's go, And so my sister saved me from myself a lot of times, from getting into trouble and being, so thank you for that. So when I was 16, I think that I'm going to get a car because we've been saving money from all this work that I've been doing. Now, granted, I get to spend some of that money. Like I went to movies a lot and stuff like that. But like I didn't have like a video game console, and I didn't waste money on video, so I didn't waste money in those ways, So I and my parents made me keep track in my little bank
savings book.
What my account was. But like I never, when you're a kid, you don't check them, at least back in my day, at our house, like we didn't rummage through the mail to see if there was stuff for us. There was never stuff for us. You know what I mean? So I never paid attention to the bank statement that came or whatever, because the account we set up was set up to where like both my parents and myself were on it. If I wanted to get money, one of my parents had to be present with me, but my parents could get money without me present because, they're the adults, right? Well, so I go car shopping with my dad. And then I find this Chrysler LeBaron ragtop that I'm fucking in love with, and I want it so bad. And I know I have enough money for this car. Like I should have more than $2,000. Like I have enough money for this car. I have enough money to pay the taxes. I have enough money to get the tag. I know I do. Right? But my dad tells me, oh, there's a problem with the paperwork, blah, blah, blah. And this goes on for a couple of weeks. And then finally, my mother was like, you need to just tell him. And I'm like, tell me what? And that's when my parents let me know that because we had, my little sister was born when I was 14, and my dad didn't work, and he was disabled at the time. That's when he was starting to go through his foot surgeries and stuff. So he technically was physically disabled, but he hadn't gotten disability yet. He was still going through that process. They were denying it. And it, like, if I remember right, it literally took that guy like 2 or 3 years to get his disability to come through before he finally got that first check. And in that time, we were very broke. And they had used, and this is part of what I've said this 100 times over. Like, if they'd have just sat me down and talked to me, I'm sure that I would have just let them have that stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm sure I would have been willing to do that. But when you take it without telling me, and then when I expect that I can spend that money, it's not there. Like that took like a really big toll on my tolerance for my father. And I remember we were arguing, and I went to charge at my dad, and my mom got in front of me and slapped the taste out of my mouth. And it was like the only time that I ever, other than when I made out with that girl, when I was 4, it was the only time I could really remember my mother hitting me. And so like it was days later that I took off and ran away for the first time. And right there is probably a good point. We're a little past our halfway point, so we do need to thank you so much. We do need to run our ad. We're going to do that right now. That's so nice. I appreciate it. Where brand, that's what I need. That's what I'm doing. I'm going.
Roy, flashlight.
I'm away. I'm okay.
I'll fix it.
With a precise depth map, I can relight my photo naturally in 3D space. Luminar lets me bring my boldest ideas to life.
And enjoy them.
Luminar Neo, create more.
Okay. And why is it? Okay. So please check out our sponsor, Luminar Neo. I think it should be in the description. I'm pretty sure it's in the description. And if it's not, you can go to MindDog TV and click the Luminar Neo banner that's on there. It's a great app. If you're a photographer, if you take a lot of photos, if you like to edit photos, it's easier than Photoshop. It's very it's got a lot of AI technology that you can use as well. So definitely check it out. Luminar Neo. Very appreciative of having the sponsor for the show. And I'll appreciate it even more if you use our sponsor, because that's how we get paid. You know, that helps. All right. So I ran away from home. Do you know, did I ever tell you how they caught me the first time?
Several times.
Okay. All right. So why do you got to say it like that?
Because I'm not the one you need to tell. They are.
All right. Anyway, so people think that when you have tattoos and stuff like that, that could be a marking. But when you're a kid, they use scars. They use scars, and I had some scars for them to be able to identify me. But okay. I know I do. So, you know how when you're a kid and you don't think well? So when the police came, I don't know how they tracked me down specifically or whatever, right? But the police come up to me and they're like, "Are you William Conway?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "What's your name?" And I don't know where I pulled this name from. I have no idea. But do you remember the name I told them? Do you?
No.
You don't?
No.
Oh, I thought I told the story a million times and you knew it frontwards, backwards, and all that kind of stuff. All right. So, for whatever reason, my lily white ass decided to tell these officers that the boy they were talking to was Tyrone Jefferson. They're like, dude, I remember the disbelief on the cop's face. He was like, "Tyrone Jefferson, your name is Tyrone Jefferson." I was like, "Yep." Like unshakable confidence, as a Tyrone Jefferson would have. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, funny thing about it is that this scar you have on your arm looks exactly like the scar of this William Conway guy we're looking for. Do you mind coming with us so that we can explore this further? Yeah, that's how dumb I am. All right, what did I do? Oh, you want? Oh, yeah. You want to see the comments again? McLovin. Yeah. That was a good guess. That was a good guess. It was not McLovin. I think this predates McLovin. I just want you to know. I did use the name Tyrone Jefferson again, though. I did. Do you remember when?
Yeah, when you were in the dinner theater.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, you know what? Here, take a drink. Congratulations. It's a prize.
Thanks.
I feel like, you know what really sucked? Poor you. I've been talking most of this time. We're gonna put a pin. We're gonna put a pin in my story because we have other stuff that we have to get to. We have to get to Danica's segment, which we should have done right after the commercial, apparently. I'm so sorry. So
No, it just proves my theory. You
all
like
right.
talking about yourself.
Listen, I don't hate me because I'm my favorite subject. And I'm a very complex individual, babe.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the fuck up so that we can get to the shut the fuck up segment. This is Danica's nice little part of the show where she tells me about what's going on in the entertainment world.
Hi guys. So this week we have found out Katy Perry had announced on Jimmy Kimmel Monday that this will be her last season of American Idol.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no way.
No one is set to take her spot. Perry says she and her co-host will decide together on a replacement as the season goes on.
I think that's because she's irreplaceable.
I don't believe that. It's Katy Perry.
Oh.
It's not like she's Nat King Cole.
Is that not her song?
No.
Oh, shut the fuck up. I don't know. I don't know these.
Do you realize how old the song Unforgettable is?
Not irreplaceable.
Oh, well, whatever. That might be her song. I don't know. There's a song named Irreplaceable?
Yeah.
Yikes. In other news, Dakota Johnson of the 50 Shades of Grey series is embarking on a new artistic role in the movie Madam Web, which has come out in theaters. Yeah, it's a spin-off of Spider-Man.
Shut the fuck up.
No, for real.
What?
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay, hang on. You're telling me that the 50 Shades of Grey girl is going to be wearing like a Spider-Man suit?
I mean, I've seen some of the previews. It sounds like it, yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I knew like
I might watch that.
Although when she was asked about how she's gotten ready for her role, she said that her stepfather has been the biggest credit to her being able to research and train for the role. I didn't know this, but her mother is Melanie Griffith, which makes her stepdad Antonio Banderas.
Ooh, Zorro.
Yeah.
I mean, Zorro could definitely help you get ready for that role, I think.
I mean, it said that her Melanie Griffith and Antonio Banderas were married for 15 years, so I'm assuming they're not a thing anymore, but she still considers him her stepdad, says he was the greatest influence on, because he always subjected himself to the right training, the right, so he's been her.
Listen, so some people think that Antonio Banderas is just a Puss in Boots, but I'm telling you, he's much more than that.
God. And that is the news that I have for today.
All right, that's the shut the fuck up. Yay!
Yay!
We should come up with like a little music thing or something for that. That'd be kind of cool.
You could, but I don't know what you could.
So I want to. What did I never do? What did I never do? She said something.
You never did.
I don't know what I never did. I don't know when she threw that
I
in
don't
there.
know when she threw
Does
it in
it
there.
say? It doesn't say when.
But it says the time.
It does?
8:47.
How long ago was that? That was 2 minutes ago. I never did. What? I never shut up? Oh, I probably never shut up. Oh. Like I probably never had a problem talking about myself.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know.
You had ran away, you got caught.
I did. Well, that was the first time.
Right.
So
No, you only have 10 minutes.
right. Okay. So okay. So I ran away. I got caught. I had to go to treatment. Man, I had to do so much when I came back from running away because it was the end of my sophomore year and I had missed a whole bunch of school because I was gone a hot minute. And so I literally like worked out something with all my teachers so that I could pass the sophomore year of high school. And then and I was only going to half days because in the afternoons I had to go to treatment. I was going to outpatient treatment.
Right.
And I got clean for the first time. And that first time clean, I think I stayed clean like 9 months or so, like out the gate or whatever. But then I ended up relapsing, which was super bad. I got involved with the people that I hung out with when I ran away, which were not good people to get mixed up with, the people that were attempting to hide me and stuff like that. And once I got re-involved with them, that's when I got back into methamphetamine and stuff. And this will probably be like the last story I tell on this episode, and then we'll pick up, next time. And we'll probably do, because you only told kind of like a half story last time too.
I mean, I'll be very honest. I felt crappy about myself the day after that episode because I censored myself, and I don't know why, but I did.
Right. See, I'm just not censoring.
Right.
You'd had way more to say last week if you'd have
been honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
But so, and to kind of go back to what Karita was saying earlier about how this is, listen, I'm just, I know that there's a lot of different opinions out there about me or whatever. You know what I mean? Right. I didn't get this way overnight, and I didn't get this way for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? Like there's nobody that knows better that I'm a little rough around the edges. You know what I mean? Like, and it very well. But I will say, for somebody who went through the level of trauma that I went through, I feel like I'm doing pretty all right. You know what I mean? Because like a lot of people that went through what they tried to tell me that prison was the only existence that I would know. Right. But I made sure to make the necessary changes to where that wouldn't be true. And to me, that's why I'm able to talk about these traumas, because it didn't ruin me. It didn't make me somebody that's not of value. You know what I mean? It didn't make me a throwaway person. You know what I mean? For a long time, that's how I felt. That's what I thought about myself. I thought that I was no good. I thought that there was no chance that I could ever be good. And that's not true. You know what I mean? Like all those things built me into who I am today. I would not be who I am without those experiences. And like, I appreciate the heart that I have today. I appreciate, because without those experiences, I don't know what I would be. Do I wish that those things wouldn't have happened? I mean, I don't think anybody wishes that they go through that stuff, but I can't sit in regret and sadness about it my whole fucking life. I just can't, because that's what will defeat me. That's what will, you know what I mean? If I'm to overcome that stuff, I got to take my power back and say, this built me into who I am today. And today I love me. Today I'm pretty stoked about the things that I do, and it gives me the ability to talk much more freely about stuff that some people don't want to talk about, you know. Yeah, and I didn't make smart decisions. Yeah, no, I never did. I did not. For a long time I did not make smart decisions. So when I got back involved with that element, or whatever you want to say, I had a day. I ended up losing my license because I got a DUI at like 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday, and I was 17. My first DUI I got at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday when I was 17, because I got reported. I got reported as a drunk driver. I earlier on that trip, I literally came out of a blackout because this is when I was very alcoholic at the time, and I was also doing methamphetamine. And these are two very bad things to do together, because especially when you're a blackout drinker like I was, I often drank to the point of blacking out. But I also was short on meth. And so I had made a decision at like early in the morning that like, and I made this in a drunken stupor, like, that I was going to go and get to my connect again, you know? And so I was driving however long it was. It was like over an hour to where I usually got my meth from. And so I came out of a blackout while driving, which is one of the scariest things imaginable. And I don't know if you've ever come out of a blackout, but it's like the world opens up through a little pinhole and it just widens out, and you're like, ah, you know, I was so scared. I was freaking out, and I spun out, and yeah, I ended up in jail, and I ended up losing my license. I did not get my license back from that point on. I did not get my license back until after I got out of prison in 2016. Like that's how long I went without my license. I didn't
have a license.
No, I did not.
Then why were you always going to drive?
Because I just drove.
Oh my God.
But yeah, we'll circle back to this. Hang on. We'll circle back to this. What is it? That one? Yeah. I did not make smart decisions.
We all knew that.
Yeah. I'm very glad to make it through too. Thank you. Okay, so is that about all the time we have today? That's close to it.
We're at 57, 58.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the good people since I took up most of the time? Why?
I mean, glad I was here.
I'm glad you're here too.
Okay.
You're pretty to look at.
Thanks.
All the time.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you.
You're afraid to kiss me on camera, weirdo?
I
mean, we can listen. It's not like we're trying to do porn or anything.
Right.
God.
Good Lord.
All right. Oh, there's still 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Do you want me to tell another story?
I mean,
that's why I asked you to say something.
All right. Well, what am I supposed to say at this
anything
point?
you want to say. Maybe not anything you want to say.
No, that'd be something we'd have to worry about if I said it to you. Not me. I think it was a good start.
Yeah.
I mean,
it gets, and this is the weird part. Okay, do you think it gets crazier? I just want to put that out there. But next week, tell it. What happened?
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what happened. I heard something.
Yeah, I did too. I don't know.
The voice from above spoke to us.
It did. Well, we're gonna
No, Pudgy, don't smoke. All right, anyway, sorry.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in once again for A Lord and His Lady.
Yes, we love you. We thank you.
Always good to be here. We love you. We're thankful for our viewers. Make sure you keep your comments coming. We will answer whatever we can.
Yeah, and share. Share.
Share.
And comment and like. And check out Luminar Neo, please.
Yes.
Like, I know I got some picture taking fools out there. So we